Hello, word nerds. Welcome to the dictionary. My name is Spencer, and you are either watching or listening to this podcast, also called a show. It's on YouTube if you didn't know that. If you're not watching this on YouTube, why don't you go over there? Why don't you just hit play on the first playlist and just let it go all night, all the time? Just let it play. Just watch all my stuff. Okay, the first word in this episode is the third form of the word escape. E-S-C-A-P-E. Adjective from 1817. Number 1, providing a means of escape, as in escape literature. This literature will let you just escape all the humdrums of the real life and let you go into the world of the literature, of the book, of the story. It's probably very unreal, fantastical, scientifical, science fictional. Number 2, providing a means of evading a regulation, claim, or commitment, as in an escape clause in a contract. Providing a means of evading a regular. So I don't deal with the contracts, but I have heard of this. You put in escape clause that says you don't have to deal with these regulations, claims, or commitments, or something like that. Okay, sound effect time. I'm gonna go. Ooh, wow. I didn't like that. What am I gonna do? Something about escaping. Wah. Is that an escape sound? I don't know. Is that the sound that an escape artist makes? 2 words, escape artist. Noun from 1943. 1, like a performer or criminal. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different. 1, unusually adept at escaping from confinement. How did you get out of that cage? We had you locked in there real good. What are you? Some kind of escape artist? I don't think I would make a good escape artist. I don't know how to do things. Whoa! I'm visualizing it in my head. Somebody escaping. They bolted. Wah! Okay, next is escapee. Escapee. It's just got 2 E's at the end. This is a noun from circa 1866. 1 that has escaped, especially an escaped prisoner, or possibly a little kitten who has escaped the fencing. We were volunteering to help out with the cats, like once a week. I think we were doing this at our local big box pet store. They had some cats there, and there was an organization who took care of the cats. The company, the big corporation company, didn't take care of the cats. They would have people come in and volunteers take care of the cats, scoop the litter, feed them, brush them, play with them, all that stuff. So we were doing this, and my wife and I were doing this, and there were, I don't know, 10 cats maybe? Adult cats and kittens. It was chaos. There was one day when it got real chaotic and at least one of them escaped. I feel like the fence thing fell and it was crazy. They had to lock the doors. We had to go hunting for cats. I think multiples of them must have escaped. We had a lot of escapees that day, and it really stressed me out. And I felt so bad for the cats, and I felt so bad for myself that I had to deal with this, and the employees. And yes, we had lots of escapees, just little cute kittens who were just trying to have some fun. And then all of a sudden, boom, the fence fell, and they got all scared, and I got all scared. Okay, what's next? Wah! Escape hatch. 2 words, noun from 1925. Number 1, a hatch providing an emergency exit from an enclosed space. I hope that all enclosed spaces have one of these built in. We need a way to escape. How are you going to get out of that enclosed space? Number 2, a means of evading a difficulty, dilemma, or responsibility. If you think that you don't want to do your responsibilities, then you might need to come up with an escape hatch, an escape plan. What's your plan? How are you going to get out of this? How are you going to get out of this? What are you going to do to evade your responsibilities, your dilemmas, your difficulties? Maybe you can just sit in them. Just do it. Just get it over with. That's a good escape hatch. Next is escape mechanism. Noun from 1927. This is a mode of behavior or thinking adopted to evade unpleasant facts or responsibilities. This is something going on in your brain up here. Escape mechanism. What do you do? What's your personality doing to avoid unpleasant facts or responsibilities? I don't want to do the dishes, so I'm going to do a really bad job at them, and then people won't be asking me to do the dishes. Would that be an example of an escape mechanism? A mode of behavior or thinking? Yeah, I think that would work. Next. That kitten bolted. Next is escapement. Noun from 1779. Number 1A. A device in a timepiece which controls the motion of the train of wheelwork and through which the energy of the power source is delivered to the pendulum or balance by means of impulses that permit a tooth to escape from a pallet at regular intervals. This is literally about the mechanics of a clock or a watch, a timepiece. That's what those are. Those are called timepieces. It is a device in a timepiece that controls the motion of the train of wheelwork and through which the energy of the power source is delivered to the pendulum or the balance by means of impulses that permit a tooth to escape from a pallet at regular intervals. I don't know about these pallets and tooths, but it's happening at a regular interval, like a second possibly, or smaller, and it's an escapement because the tooth is escaping. Sometimes I have dreams where my teeth escape, and I don't like those dreams at all. 1B, so I'm guessing this is still talking about a timepiece. This is a ratchet device as the spacing mechanism of a typewriter. Okay, it's a different mechanism. A ratchet device that permits motion in one direction only in equal steps. So as you are typing on the typewriter, which people don't do anymore, there's some mechanism that when the key hits the other thing, as the key goes forward, there's some gear in there that's making this escapement move the bar, which is connected kind of to the piece of paper. It's going to move it across, and so you're not putting your letter on the same thing every time. It can only move in one direction, and then it gets to the end, and then you got to grab that lever and go ding, and then you put it across, and then it also rotates the paper so you go to the next line. I don't know mechanical things, but that's an escapement. Why? Something's escaping. Is there a tooth in a typewriter too? Do typewriters have the teeth? Number 2A, the act of escaping is an escapement. Hoo-hoo, I did an escapement. I escaped from my cage. They'll never stop me. Oh, you got me. Number 2B is a way of escape. A way of escape, the synonym is vent. A way of escape. Well, I mean, you could escape through a vent, but I don't think that's what we're talking about here. If it's like steam going through a vent, it's escaping through that sort of vent. That's an escapement? A way of escape. Just any way that you escape, that's your escapement. Next is escape velocity. 2 words, noun from 1934. This is the minimum velocity that a moving body must have to escape from the gravitational field of a celestial body and move outward into space. So, an example of this moving body would be a rocket. An example of this celestial body would be the Earth. We have, as humans, we have mostly needed to get rockets up to an escape velocity from Earth. I believe that ship on the moon, when they went to the moon those handful of times in the 60s and 70s, mostly the 70s, they landed, but then they had to get back out, right? But there's no atmosphere on the moon, so it's a lot easier to reach this escape velocity. It is the minimum velocity, the minimum speed. How much speed do you need to go to where you need to go to? That's why the rockets, they have all this fuel to shoot them up into space to get past the atmosphere, because that's there's a bit of like a resistance there. When you have an atmosphere, there's gravity and everything, and so you got to get past that. And then once you get into space, you're not as hindered by gravity as much, and you're in a vacuum, so you can move through space more easily. That's why the moon has no atmosphere. You can just maybe throw a ball up into space, and that's all you need. Maybe even less than that speed. The escape velocity is so small on the moon. And of course, you look at all the other planets. If they have some sort of atmosphere or whatever, it's all mathematical. They all have their own escape velocities to escape the planet. One day, maybe we'll need to escape the planet, and we will reach an escape velocity. Hopefully not. Next is escapism. Yeah, escapism. This is a noun from 1933. Habitual diversion of the mind to purely imaginative activity or entertainment as an escape from reality or routine. Escapist is an adjective or a noun. We all just want some escapism, right? We deal, and I think I said this probably in the previous episode, we deal with the mundane stuff of the day all the time, and we need to be an escapist. We need some escapism. So that's why there are so many movies and TV shows and books and art and music and whatever that lets you escape. It lets you see a world, experience something different, relate to something different. That's why, all of those sort of fantasy things, sci-fi things, or even things that are like, Law and Order or cop shows, medical shows, they are showing a part of life that's real, but it's not fantasy, but it's not the part of the life for most people in the world. And so they get to sort of see what that life is like, and they get to escape into that world and see sort of what that's like, opposed to their normal job, which they're like, I just do it all the time, and I don't want to watch a show about my normal job washing floors at the grocery store. Where's the show about that? I have a feeling that, like, cops don't care for cop shows, and the medical professionals probably don't care for the medical shows. Now, I'm sure I'm wrong. There's probably a lot of people who love those shows, but by and large, they're probably like, that's my real life. I don't need to watch more of that. I need to escape. I like things like Lord of the Rings, and that's it. No, lots of things. Just can't come up with all of them right now. At the same time, I always wonder, like, let's make some fun, entertaining movies that are not fantasy, are not fiction. They're not escapist. I want to see things that are like really real, but also I love the escapist stuff too. Escapism. Okay. Next is escapology. Escapology. Yeah. Okay. Noun from 1939. This is the art or practice of escaping. Harry Houdini studied escapology. I don't know if that's actually true, if he would have said that, but he did a whole lot of escaping in his day from bags and boxes and handcuffs and all those sorts of things. So yeah, he was practicing escapology. How to escape? How can I escape from these things? How do you do that? Escapologist is a noun. That's somebody who Allie Ward should have on her podcast called Ologies, an escapologist. That would be fascinating. Boom. Next is escargot. ESCARGOT. Noun from circa 1892. This is a snail. I'm sure some of you know this. A snail prepared for use as food. Look at that, escargot. I have never eaten escargot, and I never will eat escargot. This is French, and it means snail. So literally the French word for snail is escargot. So you're just saying, I would like to eat snail. But it sounds so much fancier when you say escargot. This is also from the old Occitan word escargol. Escargol. That's escargot, it's snail. But do the French, I mean, in America, escargot means food, snail as food, but in France, I guess if you're at a restaurant and you say escargot, then it just means snail as food, but there's no, with pigs, there's like ham and pork. That's the food version of that. For cows, it's like beef is the food version of the cow. But same with like chicken and turkey and fishes and all that stuff. It's just the name of the animal that you're going to eat. These are all different just escape sounds. I don't know. They're weird. This word is escarole. Escarole. Noun from 1897. The synonym is the 1B definition for endive. Or is it endive? Something like that. ENDIVE. And this word, I can't remember exactly what that is, but the word is from the French, escarole, from, Latin escarius, which means of food, which is from esca, which means food, from edere, which means to eat, and there's more at the word eat. And I just need to give myself a little reminder of what is endive. It's just vegetable, leaves. Yeah, it's a leafy vegetable thing. It's just food. It's food. Look at that endive go. What's next? What do we got? We got escarpment. Escarpment. Noun from circa 1802. Number 1, a steep slope in front of a fortification, like a big old castle, and then they put a steep slope next to the castle wall on the outside, so they make it harder for people maybe to put up a ladder or something to get up the wall. Escarpment. Number 2, a long cliff or steep slope separating two comparatively level or more gently sloping surfaces and resulting from erosion or faulting. I need to read that one again. A long cliff or a steep slope separating two comparatively level or more gently sloping surfaces. So they got two surfaces, and they're either level with the ground or they're gently sloping. And I guess that there's a steep slope or a cliff in between them. Comparatively level, and resulting from erosion or faulting. So the reason there's a fault, the reason there's a cliff or a steep slope in between them is because it was eroded by maybe a river or a fault, like an earthquake separated those two parts of the land, and then it created an escarpment. Why is it called an escarpment? It's from the Latin escarpere, which means to scarp. Also from the Middle French escarpe, which means scarp. From the Old Italian scarpa, and there's more at the word scarp, and I don't know what scarp is. I don't know. Scarp. It's kind of my last name. No, it's not. My last name would be Scrop. This is Scarp. It's different. Okay. That's escarpment. It's probably about a slope. Scarps are slopes, maybe? Yeah. Next is the suffix essence. E-S-C-E-N-C-E. It's a suffix, noun suffix, and it means state or process of becoming, as in obsolescence. So if something is becoming obsolete, maybe my podcast is going through obsolescence because it was never popular anyway, but then it will become obsolete. So it is going through a state or process of becoming that thing. Next word. It's another suffix, essent. It's probably related to the previous one, E-S-C-E-N-T, adjective suffix. And number 1, beginning or beginning to be. Also, slightly, as in frutescent. F-R-U-T, and then the suffix essent. So this is something that is beginning to be fruit, slightly fruit. I don't know. It's not the word fruit like the fruit that you eat. The sweet fruit, it's spelled a little bit differently. I don't know what frutescent is. Number 2, so obsolescent. Obsolescent would be something that is becoming obsolete. Number 2, reflecting or emitting light in a specified way, as in opalescent. So this thing is opalescent because it is emitting light in a specific way, in an opal way, I guess. Opalescent. Let's see. Is there any interesting etymology? Not really, but both of these obviously are connected. Trying to think of where's this, there's the word nascent, which is, about early, young, the beginnings of that. What are some other essent examples? Let's look up. Let's put the thing there and go words ending in too many spaces, ending in essent. My brain just doesn't. Adolescent, somebody who is going through adolescence. Iridescent, that's another one about the light. Ooh, it looks so iridescent. Delinquescent, that must be somebody who is starting to become a delinquent, and maybe they are also an adolescent. A delinquent, deliquescent adolescent who is luminescent. Next is eschar, E-S-C-H-A-R, noun from 1543. This is a scab formed especially after a burn. Whoa, 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 whoa. This is Middle English, from Middle English, eschar. And there's more at the word scar. I got a burn on my arm here. I don't know if you can even see it. It's probably pretty fainted. It's just a little burn, nothing too bad. But I guess the scab that formed from that, because it was a burn, would be called an eschar. And it's interesting because it's spelled char, and when you get burned, you get charred. I think that maybe is a coincidence, but it is interesting. Eschar that's the scab from after a burn. I was not aware of this one. Eschar. Next, pyong. We have escharotic. E-S-C-H-A-R-O-T-I-C. Escharotic, adjective from 1612. This is producing an eschar. and escharotic is also a noun. So how would you use this in context? It's an adjective. So that hot pan could be escharotic because if you touch it, you will get an eschar. And it won't be an escargot. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not a snail. And you're not going to eat it. Escharotic. Let's see. Any more etymology to talk about? From the Greek, escharoon, which means to form an eschar. And that's pretty much it. Okay, we got one more word for this episode, which looks like it's related. And, oh, maybe not, though. Actually, I take that back. That thing was erratically escaping. We have eschatological. Eschatological. Yeah. eschatological. Eschatological. This is an adjective from 1854. Number 1 is of or relating to eschatology or an eschatology. An eschatology or to eschatology, which is going to be in the next episode. So this is not very helpful. Number 2, of or relating to the end of the world or the events associated with it in eschatology. All right, now we're starting to figure out what this word is. Something about the end of the world. We'll learn more in the next episode. Eschatologically is an adverb, and there's no etymology because we're going to read it in the next one when we have the word eschatology. All right, let's pick a word of the episode. We had escape, escape artist, escapee, escape hatch, escape mechanism, escapement, escape velocity, escapism, escapology, escargot, escarole, escarpment, essence, essent, escar, escharotic, and eschatological. Not sure which one to pick. Let's see. Escape. Maybe one of these escape ones. Maybe escape velocity. Let's pick escape velocity. I'm a rocket. I'm going to rocket through space. But first I need to hit my escape velocity. Yeah. It's great. It's wonderful. Let's talk about another movie I watched. And let's see. Anselm. 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 That is the last name of the person that this documentary is about. We saw this on the big screen in 3D, which was very interesting. This person, Anselm, is, I guess, a world-renowned artist who I had never heard of. He's been making art and sculptures and things for decades. And really, really interesting stuff, interesting person, interesting work that has evolved over the years. Clearly a very talented person, one of those like true artists that just can't stop making this stuff. Paintings, physical, visceral things, sculptures. Some of them are out in the world, in a forest. And interesting to learn about this person. Such a weird world, the world of an artist. So fascinating. Okay, Anselm. This is the end. Thank you very much for letting me talk to you about escaping things and burns and other stuff. This has been Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye.